All right, everyone. Welcome back to episode 2 of the TB Anonymous Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes podcast. I am Fat Phil, joined by my co-host Wombat. Our attorneys have advised us to not disclose how much time we've spent trying to set this all up to make it better for you guys. So bear with us as we continue to navigate this whole podcasting thing. I take full responsibility. I'm a complete imbecile when it comes to technology. So
And I'm a
anyway,
complete
Wombat, how you
imbecile.
doing, man?
I was saying I'm a kind of imbecile when it comes to streaming and making videos because I don't do that.
Nah, it's all good,
Phil,
dude.
Phil has everything
So,
set up and I don't know how to.
well, I have everything set up in like rudimentary caveman form. Um,
Yeah.
I need somebody else's help to figure out how the hell to make it all work. But nah, man. So I know we wanted to like we've got a couple things on the docket today. We want to do a quick GAC review, just like this past week, quick season thing, nothing crazy. Um, Obviously territory battles. Want to talk about like expectations for this one and some of the more coming things. Where are your progress on your farms? And then, of course, I do think maybe before those things, we even talk about the Inquisitor Lightspeed bundle. This is a topic that we've really been wanting to discuss and just haven't. We were trying to get one of our fellow friends to join us, and just he hadn't had the time to really commit, which is fine. You know, he's got some stuff going on. But we want to talk about that because I think that's the first Lightspeed bundle I've really found the a much more split opinion on the health that it brings to the game. Are you kind of seeing the same things, man?
Yeah, well, everyone's been asking for the Inquisitor Lightspeed bundle forever, but I think part of the issue that's bringing with is now we're seeing people, oh, why would I go build Lord Vader when I can just wait for the Bad Batch Lightspeed bundle? They did one for Inquisitors, they can do one for all these major Cairo teams.
Yeah.
But now you're waiting on this GL or on this meta-defining fleet that like the Marauder with Windu or Negotiator kills every fleet in the game, basically.
Yes.
So if you're sitting there waiting for the Marauder, waiting to use your Marauder because you want to wait for the Bad Batch Legacy bundle, your fleet game is way weaker. Like you can't set three GL fleets on defense unless you have the Marauder on offense.
Yes. Yeah. And I think with this Inquisitor bundle, I'm going to share the thoughts of one of my channel members here in a second, but I want to say, like, I understand I'm happy this bundle came in because I think it's kind of a necessary evil. And I think a lot of players who maybe did not appreciate this bundle feel that it absolutely does impact free to play, I'd say the most. Because if I'm a guild in that middle part of the game, I expect that everybody purchase that bundle to try and get Riva. Like
Yeah,
that now there's no excuse to not having Inquisitors. As far as if I'm being a very dickish guild leader, that's what I'm gonna say, right? Like you kind of get that.
yeah, because at this point you can just say, well, it's not. You should build Inquisitors. I want you to build Inquisitors. No, here's a price tag. Go build Inquisitors. You can't pay that price tag. Get out of my guild. And I don't
Yes,
know if
yeah,
that's gonna happen, but I feel like some guilds are gonna make it completely mandatory. Where instead of like around 40 people in your guild have Inquisitors, and you get like maybe 35 shards a month. Now you're gonna have everyone in the guild with Inquisitors, and you're gonna get the same amount of shards because you can't just in well, it depends on what level the guild is. Like if you're at in like a 400 mil guild and people are just lazy, people have the mod depth where they can actually put the right mods on Inquisitors and actually win the mission. That's not an
yep,
issue. But also, I don't know if not a lot of guilds are streaming the Reaver mission, are giving people guides and helpful. Like a lot of people will just wing it, maybe go by a written guide, or very few will go in the stream in the camp server.
yeah,
Like if
yeah.
you don't have
I,
the streaming culture in your guild, it's gonna take you it's like 6 months or so for people to get catch on and start winning it consistently.
yeah, it's definitely. I would argue it's one of those events where there's an element of it, unlike like I would say with the cam mission, there was much more RNG in terms of like him, the Reek going after your fives or something. But this one, you will not beat it without the right strategy. Like the Kaidimundi, there was a sense I felt with the Cam mission, there was a sense that at times there was just luck playing a role one way or the other.
Yeah,
I
it's like
don't know that you would necessarily luck into beating this mission.
yeah, I know I saw one like a picture guide for the cam mission, like all the possible scenarios. It's like it's massive. Like all
Yep.
these possible scenarios that could happen, all these possible reactions. Like you can't plan ahead unless you've done the kit mission like hundreds of times. You can't know what the RNG is. And yeah, for Reave mission, it's much simpler, but also unless you've done it a lot and you know all of their kits, because that's the biggest thing. You need to know all the things like Fifth Brother when he uses special, he dispels stun from an ally.
Yep.
Like people don't know that. Or when you use Seven Sisters Dispel, she inflicts stacks of purge based on how many buffs are dispel. People don't know these things. People don't know Inquisitor kits. Even people with Riva who use Inquisitors every single day don't know Inquisitor kits.
Yes. Yeah.
But
And
if you
so I'm
have,
gonna
yeah,
oh, go ahead.
well, but if, that's the best thing about streaming is you have someone who either knows the kits or has done it enough times where they don't need to know the kits. They just know what happens when you hit buttons.
Yes. Yeah. I was gonna say, like, I know I have my guide, which I think works great. You don't need, like, I don't even remod anymore, but that's because it's more of a testament to the kind of mods I have than anything. But it's not a very challenging mission once you know the strategy. And I think that's a lot of guilds are just gonna have to kind of get used to that. Um, but I did want to share kind of the thoughts of one of my channel members. They're gonna remain anonymous, but they were, I would say, I could understand their upsetness in some regards, and in other ones, and they know this, like in other regards, I'm kind of like, I don't know that I really can see it. And so I was like, why don't they like this? And what they said, paraphrasing some sections, was they think it's too soon. There should have been another character that guilds have to chase before releasing the Inquisitor Lightspeed bundle. And
Really.
I want to pause there and say I can understand that side of it, that like you felt there should have been another character to chase. And Wombat, do you kind of agree with that a little bit? That like it seems weird to throw Inquisitors in here when it's the only thing that you're really working towards like that.
Yeah, because they haven't put any new tunes in TB. It's just Riva. It's
Yeah.
just Riva,
Now,
and they're adding the TB by just adding bonus planets, which doesn't give you any more characters to work for. It's just rewards.
yeah. Now, do you wonder, and I wonder this, was that are they planning to create another character for TB and their thought process was we'd rather everybody have an opportunity to have Inquisitors rather than us release this new character and nobody feel like they can get them because they still need to get Inquisitors.
Hmm.
That
So
was, and I'm
yeah,
not saying that's legit. I'm just wondering if that was their thought process. Is normally they go the other way, that they're going to release something new, create the panic, and then, oh, here's whatever else you need. And I'm wondering if now they're kind of trying to go the opposite direction
Hmm.
of give everybody the chance to get Inquisitors and then put in this new thing that you have to go farm. And that way everybody feels that kind of pressure to do it and feels like they can.
yeah, it's kind of weird right now because they just did Ahsoka, and there's kind of no reason to get her. There's no raid. There's no um economy event. There's no TB missions. There's nothing. It's just the team. Yeah, it's a
Yep.
good team, but that's about where it ends. She's good in TB, she's good in TW, she's good in GAC, she's good in Conquest, but there's no like added benefits. There's no special missions every single wave in TB. There's no resource event. There's no raid usage. It's
Yeah,
kind
she
of
is kind
odd.
of like a, yeah, it's like there's something missing.
Yeah. So,
And then, yeah, I was gonna say continue it because the channel member they wrote a pretty good book, and they said it's very it's interesting though, right? They kind of said like they have an alt where they built Inquisitors, and they're like that alt is completely useless now because all these other players are getting Inquisitors, and they're like, and I am a little biased. I didn't have Ray, I didn't have Kylo, so I wasn't complaining when those bundles came out. But I just built Inquisitors 8 months ago, and I feel like it's too soon. Which I said this is kind of where I was like, I can understand the frustration because like you just built them, But at the same time, that's kind of always been the risk with Inquisitors and with anything in this game is that the minute that bundle comes out, if you just built it, you're kind of screwed. Like there's nothing to gain. But I would argue in this sense, if you built Inquisitors, you are still light years ahead of everybody else because you had the time to invest their Zetas, invest their mods. Like a lot of these players who bought that bundle are nowhere close to unlocking Grand Inquisitor and being able to attempt the Riva mission.
Yeah. Because you can't just go get Hyperdrive Bundle, go get the Inquisitor Lightspeed bundle, and then boom, you get in GI, boom, you can do the Reave mission. Because
Yeah,
the mods needed for the GI event, you need a lot of offense mods for the GI event, and you need a lot of protection mods, and you need crit avoidance, you need accuracy, you need speed, you need some offense. Like the thing with the Reef mission, it's not stuff that people normally have just in surplus. Most people go for health mods. Most people have offense primaries. For the Reef mission, you basically need all protection
yes.
and then accuracy and crit avoidance. Like it's not like literally people. I think a lot of people don't use GI very much outside the Reef mission because they don't swap mods. So he's just modded. They're all just modded poorly for everyday usage because they're
Yeah.
specifically modded for protection when they should have lots of health because they're better with that,
Yeah, I
especially
think
with like protection up and stuff like that.
and I'm also thinking too that a lot of these players who and I'm not and I'm generalizing because like obviously I think have you purchased any of the bundles? I for sure have.
Yeah, I have some of them.
So like having purchased other bundles, I don't know that I can't sit there and I can't it's not fair to a la carte, right? It's not fair to pick and choose which ones I'm okay with and which ones I'm not because that feels kind of like, oh, I just want the ones that benefit me.
Mhm.
Um, so I can't, we have to take that with a grain of salt that if it just benefits you, of course or hurts you, you're not gonna like it. Um, but I do definitely think with this Inquisitor one, the one difference comparative to everything else was that the Inquisitors are one of the most important teams in the game, not just for Riva, but you think about how often you need them in Conquest.
Yeah,
Like there are normally three conquest feats every cycle that somehow deal with Inquisitors.
we have them right now. Inquisitor feats for the global feat.
Yeah. Like
Inquisitor
there's and
kills.
I'm not and I get like, oh, Merrick is one, but like there's always some sort of conquest feat around Inquisitors, whether it's a sector or a like they help with sector feats, there's the global feats. Like there's normally a lot of things that are designed around this faction. And I think that's where I would argue from a content creator perspective that I can see where this one is much more maybe too soon because of how important they are. Right? That they are like this
Yeah.
is a faction that you should have been building a long time ago. And it feels like once this started picking up steam, nobody wanted to build them anymore.
Like the thing with the Fuzzy bundle is if you're at like say let's say 8 million GP, you're mid game, you're just on the tail end, you get the Inquisitor LSB bundle because you didn't have anything in Inquisitors. Like if I get this on my alt has Reva unlocked. She's level 1 gear 1. If I get that on my alt, it would be like, okay, so now I just have the perfect Inquisitor team. I just got to gear Reva. I can
Yeah.
do the GI event with Reva. Done. There's a lot of these players at 8 million GP. They never built Inquisitors, but they either had their guild carried for them or they never got Reva shards. But they're at the point in the game where they can go spare a few Zetas. They have the mods. They can go throw some mods together, and now they just have this whole other team that will just kill shit.
Yeah. Now, the
Like,
one thing I would say though is that I feel like there's these bands, right? Where there's like a very large group of the player base that like have Riva, their entire guild does. And then
yeah,
there's a very small subset of guilds that like some of them have Riva and some of them don't. And then it drops down into a larger group who do not have Riva but are Riva ready, like are earning our shards. And then a very small subset where like some of the guild is ready and some of it isn't. And then I think the largest group being people aren't ready.
yeah, and that's where it can suck for the Civic channel number you're talking about because they specifically made an account that just has Inquisitors, has their Zetas, has their mods perfected,
Yep.
and they can get into a guild that's doing a bunch of Reva shards because they specifically have that Reva. That's not special
Yes.
anymore. Now lots of people are gonna do that. And who is it up? What? How did the guild leaders decide who they let in? Because they can't just be all end all. Okay, they have the mods to get the Reva mission done. They're gonna let some newbie in who doesn't have jack crap, and they're not gonna be able to kill the Reva mission. They don't have the mods. They don't have the depth, and they're not
Or
contributing
even
other
that.
places. Or they're
Yeah,
noobs, and it's like, well, you see this player who has a main account with 10 million, they have this alt at 1.2 with all the Reaver with every Reaver ready. Now you got to think about, do I want the extra Reaver shard or do I want the GP for the guild?
yeah. And in Rise of the Empire, that is something that I think I feel like I wonder if this bundle was actually designed to maybe stop some of that. Is that I remember back in the day with GOTB, your combat missions were worth a lot more. So a lower level account that could do a lot more combat missions was better than a large account that couldn't do combats.
Yeah,
And now in Rise of the Empire, it's kind of I don't want to say it's quite the opposite. Obviously, doing combats is nice, but it's far more important that you just deploy.
yeah,
And like, because my guild, I know, like for us, we've had people kind of joining the Sigma server looking to join Mandos. And we're getting to that point even where, like, I remember there was an account, they were like 12 million galactic power. Like, they were a solid enough account. They met all of our requirements, but we were already full at that point. So unless you like blew our socks off and they're gonna boot me from the guild, like we're not gonna move anybody for an account that just meets our expectations. And that's where this like GP is playing a role that like, you know, those lower level accounts who focused Inquisitors to get into those better guilds are gonna end up getting replaced by players who, hey, now they at least have a chance at getting, Riva. Now, I will say this, a lot of people who bought that bundle probably do not have like you said, the mods. But even think about that, like for Riva, you need Relic 7 Inquisitors.
yeah.
So it's not just getting GI, you need Relic 7s on all of them. And most players do not have the signal data to stomach that.
Yeah, but it's not that long. Like that's like a month and a half at the most to get all that.
But how many of them are still behind on signal data for other stuff? Because
Yeah,
most of the people who bought that bundle are probably buying that's a $50 bundle. So it wasn't like it was cheap.
yeah,
And so they're probably behind on other farms' signal data anyway.
yeah. It is nice though. I will say that bundle, if you're like 4 million to 8 million and you don't have Inquisitors, it's
Oh,
it's
it's,
it, it it's totally free because now you're an you went from being the player that no one wants because you don't have Inquisitors, so now you have the teams, you have the GLs, you have the meta teams because you're at what, 8 million GP, let's say, and now you
yeah,
also have Inquisitors. So now guilds want you because you could
yep,
give them a Reva shard, and you have all this other stuff that gives you good GP, gives you teams to beat nodes, gives you GAC teams. And it's not just another team, it's way more. Like, think of stuff like the Tuscan bundle or the Java bundle. It's another GL. It's another team. Or the Rebels bundle. You get Phoenix, basically.
yep, yeah, yeah, yeah,
This now makes you a target for guilds. You went
yeah.
from being eh, you're pretty good, but you don't have Inquisitors, so whatever.
Pass.
Pass, yeah. So now, okay, when can I join, basically?
Yeah. And I think one thing I am noticing with these bundles, though, that's I would say beginning to pose a bigger problem for guild recruitment is that GP bloat, like the players are getting this galactic power, but not all of it is usable. Like you mentioned the Tuscans and the Jawas and Phoenix and all that stuff is
Yeah.
great. But if you don't have, like, forget the Zetas even for a second. If there's people who are buying these bundles that don't even have mods on those characters.
Oh yeah, totally.
And so now it's just GP to deploy. And so that person who has 8 million galactic power now from these bundles realistically is probably a 6 million galactic power player in terms of their relics, the mods, the Omicrons, whatever. And so now that guild is, getting a player that if they're not really doing a good review of, they're going to bring in somebody who still is more of a project than not.
Yeah, and a lot of these things you're bringing in, they're all these bundles are Relic 3, Relic 5. So what
Yes.
you might get one CM out of them with the Relic 5s.
Yes.
Relic 3s, they're not useful for anything. You can't even use them in
Yep.
TV. So unless you're gonna go Relic 7 these teams, you're not really providing anything to the guild besides just a deployment.
Yes. And while deployment is really nice, I will say as you get to some of the later planets, it does make a big difference in later phases.
Yeah. But
Like fate
also,
like like phase 1, my guild is a we're like 630 million. So we have a 187 million of undeployed galactic power in phase 1.
yeah.
So combat's not playing the biggest, I shouldn't say they're not playing the biggest role there. We can probably complete phase 1 without any combats if we all just deployed, I think. Or we'd at least get close. I don't know if we might need the operations we would need, but I think we could do it without doing actual CMs.
Yeah, definitely. Because it's like what, 120K you guys need? 120 million? And that's the
Yeah,
ops basically.
yeah. If we did the ops, I think we'd be okay.
Those are what?
10 million a piece, 180 million Jeep. Yeah.
Yeah,
We
you
did
need
ops.
yeah, you need like 12 ops and then you full deploy. Yeah, you don't need any CMs in phase one.
Yes.
But it's
But
like that's like universal. Because you guys are
right.
630 million.
Right. But I'm saying like the for these guilds where they're like, oh, just deploying where the CMs become more important is in those latter phases where you do need those people. You do need those waves to help offset some of that deployment. And just having a couple million GP ain't gonna cut it. Especially too, because the one thing I would say they didn't really sell was like we got Jabba. We've kind of had some Leia packs because she has overlap with people. Um, Sith Eternal, JML. We've inadvertently gotten Jedi Master Kenobi. I'd say they've inadvertently sold enough of his stuff that I'd say they've sold Jedi Master Kenobi. Um, but Lord Vader is still kind of out there because of no Bad Batch. And then like Executor was basically sold with Kylo. Profundity, I don't think they've sold enough of those, right? There wasn't one for like Rogue One characters. Like we got Outrider, but they didn't sell like Adrad and Cassian and Jin, right?
Yeah.
So Profundity and Leviathan are still two things they really haven't brought out yet. And Profundity is like the number one of the best light side ship to have
Yeah,
in
Profundity beats every single mission in light side.
yes. And Leviathan, I'd say, is underwhelming until you get into some of the later planets. Because the dark side ship missions are just so stupid.
Yeah, and mixed. Yeah, so your missions in are really nice. Like for mixed and light side, if you have executive Profundity, you just beat every single mission, and it's like you get a lot of GP from ship missions. Like you should
Well,
really have everyone in your thing be doing that if you can.
so you know what's funny is one of the one of the things that my guild does is we try to like optimize our combats. So we open certain things for deployment. We try to make sure that we're not like for Zepho here in the fleet mission, we only bring the like Plo Koon because you're trying to minimize the amount of GP deployed and maximize like your combats so that way we can put this GP into other planets. If that makes sense. That we want to
Yeah.
try and minimize the galactic power deployed, maximize the combat mission success rate. But I was kind of saying to our guild, like, guys, we're actually smarter if we don't do the fleet missions because you think your average fleet mission is going to give you, like, if I get a Tatooine, it's 600,000 GP to complete that mission, right? With Executor. And you figure your Executor fleet is probably what, 500,000 galactic power,
Mhm.
give or take. So you're, you know, one, one like a 1.2, 1.3 GP to territory point ratio in terms of the combat success. But like on the ground, you're getting 341,000. Most of your teams are not 170,000 galactic power, so you're getting way more out of the ground combats. So like while the fleets is very chunky, you're getting more bang for your buck in ground CMs than you are fleet CMs. And that's where I think, kind of circling back into the whole bundle situation, if you're using these bundles to progress yourself in TV, those ground CMs are really the ticket. I used to think the fleets too, but more and more, I think it's the ground teams
Mhm.
because of that ratio of, territory points to how much you're actually deploying for that phase.
Yeah, but the difference is to do a team in each team, you need to do what? A full team of R5, full team of R6, full team of R7. For a fleet, you just need 7 star. And if you have the GL fleets are the things that are beating these teams, except for like the Mandalore mission or the Zephyr mission, you're using the GL fleets for everything. And they all have to be they all have to be 7 stars. And that's all that's required.
Yes, but is having, you think about the like a 7 star profundity, how much harder is that to obtain than, you know, some Relic 5 teams? Because let's be honest, how many people want to rush profundity to 7 star now?
Well, yeah, but the thing is though, you're using Profundity in 5 phases. You're using them all the way through the Relic Nines, assuming you're not
Yeah. Oh,
going
I,
to Hoth. So you're
yeah.
getting it, you're basically getting like the equivalent of like a Relic 9 team out of them. And there's what
Yeah.
one Relic 9, one Relic 8, and a Profundity.
Yeah. I'm more so going after it that, like, I'm not saying you shouldn't get your fleets, but I don't necessarily agree with saying that, like, I think the ground combats become more important the later you get, because at least from the standpoint that, like, once your fleet reaches a point where it wins, you don't need to do anything else.
Yeah, exactly. Because
That's maybe what I
basically,
should have said.
yeah, yeah, I would agree. Basically, get to the point where you have Executor, you have Profundity,
Profundity.
and you have something that can beat Mustafar and what is it? Coruscant? I forget. No, Tatooine.
Well, Mustafar is the scythe. That's just a stupid one. And Geonosis is the other one that are just like ridiculousness.
Yeah, so like if your guild wants you to do something that can beat those. Otherwise, get 7 star Executor, get 7 star Profundity. You beat every single fleet mission that you can beat. And then
Yes.
focus on other stuff. Because technically speaking, that is the best bang for your buck in terms of like the relics and required to the points get got. Because you need what? 2 relic 8s for Executor, a bunch of relic 5s, what a relic 9, relic 8 for Profundity, a bunch of relic 5s. Like that's basically like a one relic 5, like relic 5 team, and then one relic 8, relic 9. That's like the equivalent like a relic 6 or a relic 17. Assuming you're not struggling with the arrow magnifiers or droid brains.
Yeah. Now I would argue on the other side of that, the you build up some teams. Like, if you build enough requirements, you end up with some Relic 7 teams as it is.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, if you, and I mean that from like a galactic legend perspective. Like, if you build Jedi Master Luke, you build Jedi Master Kenobi, you're gonna have Relic 7 Jedi to get all the way to, Kashyyyk and win battles.
Yeah, yeah. Or you build like Ahsoka, or you build like oh yeah, Ahsoka. You build Leia. You get basically a team for TV. So what
Yes.
you
Yeah.
bring
That
Hera to R7, Leia. You bring a Jedi. Y- Leia kills it with just her trio, like, and they're needed R7. So you might as well just throw 2 random other Jedi rebels in there. What Radisson, Cassian probably.
Yep. Yep. That's kind of the thing. It's funny you say those, like, because so now that I'm through with Ahsoka, like, I have Fulcrum at Relic 9, I've got Adrad at Relic 9, I have Leia there. And for TB, I was asking my guild officers, I was like, hey guys, does it make more sense for me to do some, bring up like extra Relic 8s for us, or should I just do Relic 9, R2, and Drogon and get
Yeah.
extra combats done? And they were like, oh yeah, definitely do the like Relic 9s on R2 and Drogon, because then I can do combats on Ring of Kafrene, and I'm not really taking away, like, I'm using Leia here, and I have plenty of teams between Kessel, Mandalore, and Haven that we're not missing out on anything.
Well, and the added benefit of that is now you can format your QA run in raid in the raid, which it's way easier
Yeah.
with R2D2. It's a little
I
bit
mean, I don't
you
need to,
use it. Yeah, yeah. I mean, you're beating either way, but now it's that much easier.
yeah, maybe I don't need to remod.
Yeah, maybe you don't need to remod at all. Like I don't remod at all, and I'm feeling that because yesterday it took me way too many attempts, and I just submitted a 2.4 million because I was too lazy to keep doing attempts. Well, because
Good God.
I completely forgot that raid was happening until the morning it was ending, and I was like, well. I just need to post runs and everything else is basically audible. Like the Beck mission I have to play, but I'm playing on autopilot. Like I just hit buttons. You know, it's not like you have to it's not like it's hard. There's RNG. Everything else is
Yeah.
basically audible.
It
And
is it is interesting though, like this, now that we're kind of into TB here, kind of moved on from that, Inquisitor bundle. And obviously Agnards and I have the friendly rivalry of who's going to get more combat mission waves. And he is very much someone that like autos TB. Now he's obviously invested Omicrons and other things, but I don't know if you saw it, but I did record my phase 3 of territory battles. And somebody commented, they're like, see, this is why we need a new territory battle, because you're beating all of these without Omicrons. And I was like, if you really watch the video, you'd understand that like this is like halfway through TB.
yeah,
Like this is like these are the planets that are middle of the pack. So like yes, at 12 million galactic power, the middle of the pack planet should not be hard for me to complete.
like think of it this way, Dathomir, all those missions are easy. Like they're annoying, they take forever, but with the revive, you never like it's hard to lose those missions unless you get like
Ah,
extremely unlucky.
I would I'm going to argue that point. At RGP, it's hard to lose these missions.
Yes, yeah, yeah, okay.
But when you're a lot earlier in the game, Dathomir's a very challenging planet because you might not have the tools necessary to get through it.
Yeah.
And that's where I was trying to show people kind of like one of the teams, like Lord Vader can just auto that with any Empire characters, he autos it. Right? Like that's he will win. I think he's the only GL there that I would say will never lose.
Yeah.
But like Sith Eternal, you can't use him in the lead. Kylo, if you lose the ads, he'll get sniped out
Well, not
by
with
the
Darkseid Ray
acolytes unless
anymore.
you have Dark Side Ray with you.
Yeah.
So it is, I do feel like there is a sense that like this planet is the first one where I'd say it poses a significant challenge to most players.
Yeah. Well, also with C though, if you're running like if you have Leviathan, you just do Darth Revan Lee with Malgus, Malix, Watt, and C, and I auto that. I mean, I
Yeah,
have four Relic Nines on that team, but it's still autoable. Like I haven't lost that since I started running that mission like that. Like it takes you a while. You might need to play it manually at some points, but there's so much tankiness. Yeah, they hit hard, but there's so much tankiness, and they're never really going to kill C. Like maybe
yeah,
once in a blue moon, they'll kill all the ads and then kill C with a snipe.
but yeah, most often it doesn't happen. And if you time it right, you can link up the one acolyte that isn't going to die from death mark in that situation.
Yeah, exactly.
And but I think like to like I don't want to say respond to that comment because I responded, but like we are not getting a new territory battle anytime soon. And
Yeah.
that kind of goes into the same thing with like people thought we'd get a new territory battle before the Inquisitor bundle came out. Like this is the final map. Like this is TB for the next bunch of years. That was the whole design of this, is that it lasts a long time. And if you look at like the best guilds in the game do not get more than like I don't know how I forget what the number one star count is, but it's not close to max.
I think what was it? Shitstorm was saying it. I think he put together some sort of graphic for the amount is needed
I
to max TB, or
oh
was it
no,
someone else?
that was Themi. That was Themi in the Sigma
Okay.
server. And it was like you need like 1.2 billion over 1.2 billion galactic power. And that's assuming 100% success rate with combats
Yeah.
and participation. So that's an insane number.
Yeah, but
So
it's
you're
it's going to be easier. It's going to keep getting easier though when they add every time they add another planet.
yes. Well, that's where so I was wondering this with a new planet. Like, what if they added one? Like, I think what they need to do, and part of the reason why Mandalore and even I'd say Zepho's pretty accessible, but I feel like Mandalore is still kind of less common for guilds. And I think a big reason for that is it's a relic. You need relic eights there. And
Well,
most guilds are not in a position where relic eight is a realistic investment for them.
but here's the thing. Click on Mandalore real quick. So you need how much GP to finish that one? You need 396 million. So let's say you're a 400 million guild. You tell your guild, because this is what I'm thinking. At that point in the game, you're not really needing Riva as much. At that point, you want people to build JK, CK, and Bo-Katan.
Yep.
You have people build Janek Alcestis. You have them build Seer, get the mods in order. Done. You beat Zepho. You beat that in what, 2 days? Those are easy missions. They're really 7. Now for Mandalore, you need 25 Bo-Katans. The missions, it's easy. There's a little bit of RNG, but it's hard to lose unless you get terrible RNG. That's 400 million GP to finish there. And let's say you have everyone do the Empire mission. Where is that? How much GP does that give
The
you?
the Moff Gideon mission
No, the fleet
or
mission.
there's the unrestricted mission.
No, the fleet mission.
Oh, the fleet mission is a million GP.
Yeah, so it's let's say you get an extra let's say you get an extra
Call it
80 million. Say 40 people do the mission because everyone has an Empire fleet, and let's say you get them to get the right strategy down, everyone beats it. But you get 40%, 40 people do it. And you run it over, let's say, 2 days because you're spending 4 days to get to Tatooine.
yeah.
That's still, if you're like say a 400 mil guild and then you deploy the rest, that's still 100 kairos every QB. It's 200 kairos a month.
Yes.
That's still the best rewards in one of the best rewards in the game. Like the fact that you're getting 280 extra kairos every month just from TV alone, it means when you're just chasing new characters, you barely even have to farm kairos at all.
Yeah. Big
Like
time.
it's so nice. Like I'm thinking that because I know in my last guild on my alt before I stopped playing it, the reason I got into that guild was because I had Jedi Calcestis.
Yeah.
I got
Yeah.
Riva for free because I had Jedi Calcestis and I never lost a Zepho mission. And then
No.
we had Zepho. So I'm thinking a lot of guilds are gonna start looking for just Jedi Calcestis and Bo-Katan a lot more.
Yeah. Like now Inquisitors almost because again, going, I feel like we're doing a good job of trying to keep that bundle kind of like the forefront of this. Like
Yeah,
nobody cares we have Inquisitors
accidentally.
anymore.
Well,
Like,
here's the other thing. Now they're in the back thought. It's gonna come to a point where everyone has Inquisitors.
yep. So
You
now
get the
it's
bundle or you farm them naturally, but now it's just assumed you have Inquisitors at certain
and
points.
now you need Bo or you need Cal, which I wonder if there's a content creator who's been saying that those are the two best investments that you should make. I'm trying to remember if there was somebody that said that. Do you know somebody who was saying that?
Sure, I
I
don't
feel
know.
like I could think
Made
of
a
somebody who
video
was
about
saying
that
that.
actually.
Yeah. But no, I like but I still think like I still would say that I think Mandalore is a bit daunting because of the Relegate requirement. And honestly, I know you said the Empire mission, but like I would say there's still players who aren't comfortable doing Empire here yet. Now, I think this is the easiest fleet mission because you can use an off meta fleet to win.
Yeah.
Um, but I think you've got it. This is assuming you have a good gauntlet, assuming you've got a good scythe and everything else. Like there's there is some investment here.
Which leads into Inquisitors.
Yes. Um, naturally. But yeah, I do think that there's a point there of with these bonus planets, they're playing a bigger role. But I'm wondering if with the next one, where I was thinking is that they need to make it off of like Mustafar
Yeah.
because we don't have a dark side planet yet.
You see,
And
that would be nice, but what they're gonna do is they're gonna take it off the medical station, and it's gonna be something for Thrawn.
but so I hear you, but hear me out on why I think Mustafar is a better option. Is the issue they have had with both Zepho and Mandalore already was it's a new character, right? That it's a new thing. It's a whole new thing you have to farm. It's a whole new team. It's a whole new something.
Yeah.
And because it was something new, it doesn't eat into any of your existing combat missions, right? That like I was already in a position where I was completing Tatooine, and stuff before Bo-Katan Mandalore. I was already doing territory battles before Cal existed. So it wasn't really stealing from anything. If you made a mission on Mustafar that required an Kylo Ren, Supreme Leader Kylo Ren, and Darkseid Rey to kind of go off of like them finding Exegol, right? if you made that a mission where you're going to make people use Kylo for that to unlock some bonus planet, I think you would see people making more of an investment, more of a how do I say it? Like see people actually thinking this could be better. Because the other side of this as well is that for those guilds like mine, we have TB for the first few phases down to a science.
Yeah.
But if you change our path initially, you're going to see investments change in order to react to that planet. And you're going to get more players to involved in that planet because it's more easily accessible with relics and it's right there.
So the thing is though, the first bonus planet was Relic 7. The second one was Relic 8, and the rewards increased from the higher relic tiers. So if it's gonna unless it's gonna be less rewards, it's gonna have to be a Relic 9 planet or at least a Relic 8.
Which I
But
would be, I mean, it doesn't need to be a, you know, crazy amount of rewards.
yeah, but what
Like,
I'm seeing is we get a mission on Mustafar. Let's say it's Darkside Ray and SOKR, Darkside Ray, maybe Bane. And then on the bonus planet, we get a character mission for Darth Zana, who is the lifter unit for Bane. And it's an incredibly difficult mission. It requires a Relic 8 team on a Relic 6 planet. And then all of a sudden, everyone would care about that because, well, it's Darth Zana. And also, we'd have a new character in TV. And now there's not this mindless drone of let's get more stars. It's, oh, let's get this new character. It's an incredibly
yes,
difficult
yeah,
mission. It's heavily RNG, it's heavy modding, it requires a heavy investment, but that's what we want. We're out here talking about Relic 9ing Leia teams for Relic 9 missions. Wouldn't we rather do an incredibly difficult mission at Relic 8? Because that for a new character, yeah, it's difficult, it's going to be a pain in the ass, but it's way more fun because we're actually pushing towards a tangible result.
yeah. I do agree with that. I do think having a character as a bonus would be beneficial for the game.
Yeah,
And I
but
think, like you said, I mean, we both were kind of going off of like conquest units or like it needs to require characters that are good. That we don't want it to, and when I say good, or it needs to require characters that players are using now. Like for a guild of my galactic power, it's not going to matter, right? We're going to be fine. But I think sometimes Capital Games has struggled where if they release a Relic 9 planet in a couple of months, my guild gets it, Maw's going to get it right away. And then it's going to be nobody, right? Like it's almost like a nothing upgrade. There's not there's not enough guilds who can get to that point where it's going to matter.
and I think they're fine with that. I think they want bonus planets to be food for top end guilds, food for whales, and then slowly and surely the lower guilds will work towards it, and it's a massive increase in reward. That's why I'm thinking we'll either get a raid when GL Thrawn comes out because he is confirmed, or we'll get a bonus planet where he's needed for a mission, or he's needed to unlock the planet, or well, maybe one of his requirements. And then that's the Relic 9 planet, and it's top end guild. It's whale food, but it's really good rewards. Let's say you get 200 Kairos a month, or let's say it gives you signal data
Yeah.
or arrow
Something other than
magnifiers.
Kyrotech would be nice.
I mean, Kyrotech is good. Like I would not mind being that getting another 200 Kyrotech per TB. Like you would, but you get to the point where you're getting more Kyrotech than you can spend in a month, especially
Yeah,
when
that's the problem.
once you've gotten all characters to relics that aren't like new characters. You're at the point like Phil, how much Kyrotech do you have right now? I know you have like an insane amount of Kyrotech.
I think I have 4,000 of each piece.
Like you can't spend it fast enough. Like you could start taking up trash characters, but let's see.
Yeah, 4,000 of each piece.
So flip your roster. Like what characters do you not have geared?
Oh, here. This is probably a better way to do it.
Okay, so you still have a lot though. But
I mean, like you say a lot, right? One, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight, nine,
10 in armor,
10,
11 chieftain.
11. I have 11 characters that actually require Kairatech. I shouldn't say require, that need it before the finisher.
Yeah. And I'm
Now,
seeing a lot
Jocasta
of,
Nu and Ahsoka
yeah,
will need more, but
yeah.
it's not that big of a deal.
And I'm
Because
also,
like I can't
sorry.
I can level those guys up, but I don't have the signal data to do it anyway. That's why I wish the bonus node would have fucking signal data.
Yeah, and the other thing is I'm seeing a lot of accounts that are at 13 million GP and have almost every character at relics. Like they basically
Yes.
are just the new characters. They haven't done all the crazy relic 8s, relic 9s for TB and stuff like that. So they're not and bloated as much. But they just have almost every character at relics. And at the point where we get another mission, another planet that gives you 200 Kyrotech a TB, what we're getting 600, what, 680 Kyrotech a month. You can't spend that fast enough. Every new
Yeah.
character has like 500 Kyrotech. Unless they start upping that to 700 every time, you still can't spend it fast enough because we're getting what? Let's say we
Yeah. I
get
mean,
two characters a month. You can probably spend it fast enough, but if you have some supply, it's almost never going to go down. What with other events giving Kyrotech, and let's say you're farming Kyrotech for carbonite circuit boards, bronzium wiring.
yeah. But I just I'm not I don't know. I feel like I don't know, maybe I give them too much credit on the way that they think. But even if you made a planet off of Mustafar, that it maybe it doesn't require a ton of um like extra relics from like a player of my level, it still is going to mess with a lot of our strategy because like now, like I showed, our first phase here, we had, a lot of extra undeployed GP,
Mhm.
right? In phase 1. But like phase 2 that cuts down. So it would be interesting to see these top guilds. Yes, like maybe we don't have to make a crazy investment to get there, but it would completely change the way we play territory battles to account for having to do extra combats and splitting up extra teams.
Yeah.
Because I don't have that many extra teams beginning in phase 2. I have a couple, but not a lot. And that's where I think they could make their money is on those guilds who would see something that's tangible to them. Because most people are looking at Mandalore and that's just not tangible.
Yeah, that's why I'm thinking it has to be an exclusive reward, not just more. Because it wouldn't make sense to be more because it's less requirements, less relics to do the missions. So more rewards simply it wouldn't make sense. It wouldn't make sense for
And
CG because they're not making money off of it if it's giving you
unless
more
it's
rewards.
unless it's a very challenging character to obtain.
Unless yeah, challenging character maintain or it's something different. Like let's say you finish that you 3-star that planet. It's easier to 3-star, but it gives you 15 of each signal data. That's still worth 30 what's 30 a month for
Still,
it's people would still be very happy with that.
yes, yeah, I
It's
would
yeah,
agree.
I mean we'd obviously want more. We probably want more like 50 of each, but it's still
And that
good.
would depend too on the value of what you're building.
Yeah, exactly. Like if all you need is a couple Relic 6 teams and you need say a couple meta teams at Relic 6 or Relic 7, you probably already have them at Relic 6 or Relic 7 if you're at that certain point. So for like us,
Or
if they do that, unless it's all new characters, we're basically gonna 3-star that day one.
well, but that's the thing is you probably unless they could require, hey, use GLs here. Like the whole point of the early planet in my mind is that it's stealing teams that you would be using to complete those. The
Yeah,
the challenge for the challenge for and like Maw is never going to have a challenge unless it's like a relic 10 planet. It just they you cannot base content around a guild like them because they break the game.
well, yeah, let's say it's Exegol and there's a mission for Sith Eternal, there's a mission for SOKR, and there's a mission
A
for
mission,
Lord Vader, and now all of a sudden on Coruscant you have to off meta those three challenging missions, which you usually just use a GL and wipe the floor with them.
yes, yes. That's where I think you could make that more interesting.
And now you're enticing people to go get some territory battle Omicrons so they can make those missions
Yes.
easier.
Yes. All of a sudden, people, I think, would begin to see that they need additional investment in territory battles. And that's what I'm trying to encourage is the minute they start adding, because we haven't got a bonus planet since what? 20, when did we get Mandalore? 2023?
It was last year, I think.
Was it last year?
Yeah, I think it was last year. Let me look it up real quick.
When did Bo come into the game?
I think she just got her units just got accelerated, I want to say. Just not too long ago.
But that's like I'm
Um,
wondering, like it's been a while since we've gotten something changed to
I
TB.
think it was around 9 months ago.
9 months.
Yep, 9 months ago, because that's where the post is and announcements.
So I could go for another planet at this point somewhere. Obviously, I'd love it to be earlier and get more people involved because I think that's part of the issue is the engagement with certain things like the conquest like this conquest community event. The whole purpose of this is to get the entire community invested in conquest. And I got really frustrated when I saw one of the comments where they were like, "Oh, as long as we get the first box, I'm good." And I'm like, "That's awful." Like that's the wrong thing. Like you are missing out on so many other shards that are important. Like I get the Malgus shards are nice, but like, do you know how much those Jocasta shards are worth? Like for people are going to be worth, and everybody's going to be friggin' crying when she's required for the next raider. She's breaking teams over her knee, and they're going to be like, "Oh, I wish I had Jocasta," and it's like, well, you should have spent conquest energy to get it. Like, and it's kind of so I feel like that they're giving us an opportunity to engage in the game and we don't take it, and that's why I'm trying to say with this TB thing that like if they make it where it is possible to engage with, then those lower level players can't complain.
Um,
Because I think that's what Mandalore did. Was it a lot of guilds are like, well, it'll be a year, 2 years, 3 years before we get there.
So it looks
I don't
like
know.
her first booking, the first event was December 21st in 2023.
Okay, so she's been in the game for over a year now.
Yeah. Also, one thing you mentioned, so you did some math wrong in your video about the Jocasta shards, because you need 60 additional shards you have to buy out of the nodes in order to get her on day one. So the way you do it is you buy the shards the first time, you buy them the second time, and then if we've beaten the milestone event, then third time you don't have to buy shards.
Somebody said that in my comments too. They're like, I'm not going to buy them next time around, but I'm buying them this time. And I was like, how dare they come up with a better strategy than me?
Well, yeah, because if you don't buy them this time, you're forcing yourself to get the conquest pass if you're wrong,
Yeah,
if we don't hit it. And we missed it last time. Now they were saying, I forget who was saying earlier that that was in the middle of a Datacron set, so the
yeah,
whales
that
weren't
was
pushing as
shitstorm.
hard. Yeah, but
Yes,
that's still the same thing. We missed it last time, so don't go off the data. Go off the data where we missed it last time, and plan for that. Plan on not needing them, but buy them this time around because I'd rather skip and not buy them next time than have them be forced to buy the Conquest Pass.
yeah, that's true. And that's it's a fair point about like the whales with like the datacrons and stuff like that because it is. I mean, I don't think people realize to the extent that those players are doing conquest refreshes.
Oh yeah. I mean, last
Like,
time I spent basically 100s every single day.
yeah, and you're not even scratching the surface to comparative to what some of those other guys do.
Yeah, I have how many level nines right now for the new set? Not that many. I have, let's see.
I don't even have one level 9 for the new
Oh,
set.
for the latest set. So I have
Which set are you talking about?
Wayward Wayfinder, so the gold
Oh,
one.
okay, the orange one. Okay.
Yeah, so I have what? Um, I have 15 level nines for the last set. Oh, you've already dusted the one before.
Oh yeah, I dusted that this morning.
But yeah, I have 15 level nines, and that was with like 100 refreshes.
Yeah, I
So
have.
you do 200s, 400s every day, you're easily maxing out all your oh, you're level 9. It's like I haven't done anything for the new set yet. I'm just waiting
Yeah,
until I can do Conquest.
I started this smuggler one. Pretty pumped I got smugglers because that gives me a chance at either the Nest or the Sauna or even, I
Yeah,
mean if I get Kira, I'm kind of screwed. But
yeah, you were saying earlier how you're sad the new old Datacron's going back, but we have the Sonicron now. We're all of our dreams are satisfied. Have you
I
seen
yeah,
what she does?
I'm just not, I don't know. I was thinking about this. Like, so I did watch Arnold's stream where he went up against the Nest Kron in a Ray team. I don't know if you watched that or not.
I haven't, no.
So he went up against it and he brought Lord Vader, which is beyond funny. And Lord Vader team, it was like Maul, Lord Vader, Royal Guard, Piet, and Thrawn. And they won with full banners against Ray Ben, Nest,
Really?
L3, and it was like Chewbacca. Like not veteran smuggler Chewie, not
Wait,
Vandor, like
hang on a second.
OG Chewbacca.
There was no Ben in the team?
No, it was Ray Ben, and then Chewbacca, L3, and Nest.
Okay.
It, and Lord Vader just kind of walked all over it.
Yeah, because they set a
And
terrible rating. That's why.
well, right? But you think that level 6 is only going to benefit your smugglers.
Yeah.
So, like, if Nest is the only one that
But
has 100% evasion, there's going to be ways around that. And if you keep setting everything else, right? If you start replacing people with smugglers, you're opening up counters that might not have existed before.
yeah, like when you don't have Ben when you don't have Cal on there, when you don't have Ezra or Sortie on there, all of a
Yeah.
sudden
Like,
I'm gonna go look at that and say, okay, so I just use SK because SK
yeah.
can't be dodged. So I'll just place healing immunity on Nest and then she'll just slowly die.
Yes. Or
Also, if
like,
it says right there, if the debuff, they lose on all their evasion. So I just literally you throw the tire at Nest and now you can hit her because the tire has
yes.
unavailable debuffs or
Yeah.
unavoidable. So you
And
do
now
that.
she will like in a way, I think for threes it might be better because she's gonna constantly
Let's see
where
what she'll
is it?
do. I haven't looked at
When an
any of these data
ally
crowns
takes
yet.
it, she takes a turn.
Do you know she assists?
Oh yeah, she assists. So she's not the one thing I
So
would say with this is that she's not taking bonus turns like Fulcrum is.
yeah,
So
so
so even if you call in your Star Destroyer, she's stunned, which means you can hit her, and then it's over.
well she loses
I
all
just
of her
don't.
evasion when she's debuffed too.
Yeah, but I'm saying like I stun her and it's game set match.
Yeah, so I'm seeing don't put Fulcrum. Well, sorry for my opponents. Please put Nest with Ray in 3v3 because it's 10,000 times easier than putting Ezra Exile with them.
Yeah,
But
I
yeah, there's nothing there stopping SK. He can
yes,
stun both of them. He throws a tire, and now she ha lost all of her bonuses. Mara Jade has tenacity down in case she's modded for a lot of tenacity. And there's no the thing that's threatening with Ray in 3v3 is Ezra Exile because you can't assist and he taunts
yep.
or another tank. That's really what makes Ray threatening. Otherwise, SK just walks all over them in 3v3.
And kind of circling back to like the datacrons for conquest and stuff like this set, it's a lot. I feel like this set for the like for players who really interact with datacrons, they're going to go hard. But
And
as
then
somebody like me who I'm like, I don't really go crazy with datacrons. Like I want a, hot cartel datacron, but like I
yeah,
only need one of those. I'm not going to have multiple hot cartel teams. Droids, I mean, I'll have like maybe two of those, but like I feel like there's this set sometimes when it's these smaller factions, it's not as powerful. Or like with mercenaries and smugglers, they are split between light side and dark side. So you're also missing out on a level 3 with some of these too.
well, think of the other thing for the dark side crons. You what? You get droid and mercenary and Huckachal can use them. It's basically the exact same level threes as the last set. So I'm just gonna use the last set because I have plenty of those.
Yeah. Or and but the last but like we lost for Dark Side in the Datacron set before this. You had the 15 and 15, 15 max health, 15 protection,
Yeah.
and Dark Side doesn't have that anymore, while Light Side has that in Wayward Wayfinder.
Yeah, and that one's completely, it makes every team just incredibly tanky.
Yes. And I
Oh,
think that's where I'm more like I like the other, I like the this set I think is better for your average player because 15 and 15 is better than almost everything that this set does.
yeah. Unless you're chasing one of the level nines, which I will say level nines in this set are kind of cracked. Like there's some really good ones. Like the Sonicron, it's like it's just destroying Leia and Jabba right now. So there's some things in these crons that are just completely stupid, like what is it, HK-47? Let me look. HK-47 is just gonna make Afra go nuts. Like we thought Dengar Cron was good. Wait till HK-47 is just mass fearing the opponent. You went from Afra running a pretty good Terminator train, dealing a lot of damage, to now, oh look, now they have budget Darth Revan on the team.
Yeah, but I think it does um I mean one it's depends on the team you're going to use it against cuz like some teams are immune to fear.
Yeah, because
Like how
what
many
I think Java teams are immune to fear, but that's only why they have the one buff from Java. So you dispel that with B2, and now that you can inflict fear.
Yeah, that's assuming you have a relic B2.
Yeah, well, if you're using Afra against Java, you should. Right, Phil? You have
No.
a relic B2, right? Well,
No.
but yeah, that's gonna be my Java counter for the rest of that for the entire cron set. It'll just be Afra, B2, and HK. BT will get the bonus turn from
See,
turn meter.
I
He
I
will
don't
this
think you're going to need I don't know that I'm going to try it without him because the level 3 is for dark side you get the 15% turn meter on a special. So if you use Darth Vader, you can juice enough of your turn meter to at least get going.
let me see, what is it? Dark side level threes. Now is
Because with Dark
Droid is that locked to dark side or is that both? Or is that light side?
uh droid is locked to like so look here. So like Hut Curtel and Droid is dark side.
Okay, okay, good. Yeah, that would suck.
So yeah,
Can't
like
use those.
so you're gonna use if you throw like Darth Vader in that team, you're gonna get 15% turn meter. So
Um,
Merciless Massacre 15%, Force Crush 15%, Throw the Saber 15%, and
so
now everybody else catches up.
hey Phil, so I'm looking at this level six. You might want to gear up B2 because whenever a droid dispels a buff or a debuff, all droid allies gain critical damage and offense up, which can't be dispelled for
Ugh.
3 turns. So B2 dispels buffs, and now BT1 has locked offense up and crit damage up for 3 turns, which is going to be the entire battle because BT will always be dispelling buffs against like Java or something else.
Maybe I
That's
could
so
relic three him
stupid.
though, right? That's a relic three.
Yeah, you can relic three him
That's perfect. All right, he'll be relic three.
because yeah, I'm thinking you might want B2 for that because that's like literally direct synergy with B2.
But I gotta stop this Datacron stuff because I'm gonna get together with Logan and talk about it. But we got sidetracked, talking about it for Conquest. But I do think for a lot of players who don't interact, the older set was better because of the light side level. But I think if you're listening to this, probably not many of you, but if you're listening to this and you are like, I don't really care about Conquest, you could potentially earn 100 extra free shards by just doing refreshes. And that's where I lose my mind with some players because like that is so easy to do. Like that is not I'm sorry, it's not hard. It's not. You get so many crystals a day to do stuff. Conquest is more important than almost everything in this game. Because you can't like you can go back if you miss out on a couple days of mod energy, right? You can make that up. There are ways to make this up. There is if you miss out on a conquest unit, like what's your way to make that up? The conquest pass or getting extorted for crystals.
Yeah. Now,
You know what I mean?
I will say though, Jocasta isn't. I'm fully prepared to take this back when she comes out, but I don't feel like she's going to be a necessary for a day one unlock because her team is where she's going to use the most, and or she'll use with Kellerin. But Kellerin, I feel like it's still going to be better with before the Amis. It's going to be better with Jedi, Anakin, and Qui-Gon. Like in TW, you're probably gonna run the OG comp. You're not gonna run Jocasta in there because
I
that's
don't know.
basically until she gets her team, which will be you'll have to it'll be on marquees. So it's gonna take everyone forever to get them. So you get her day one, great. You can't use her until you build her team. So I'm thinking it's not as important to get her day one. Like you could easily get her month two, month four, month five, and be just fine. Especially if you're not gonna be chasing your team. Like for us, yeah, we basically have to chase our team because we have to chase new stuff because we're at the point in the game where it's a given. But
I'm gonna I'm gonna blow a hole in this in a second, but keep going.
that's the thing basically. Her team
Well, so
before she gets her team it's going to be better without her unless with barring GAC Omicrons, I don't see how she's better in TW than having
so
Jedi, Anakin, and Wag and Cam on the team.
so what I'm gonna argue is Grand Arena, you can run Qui-Gon, Jedi Knight Anakin, and Cam. Throw whatever other Galactic Republic Jedi you want, because they don't care about Jedi Vanguard,
Yeah.
right? So you could throw whoever you want. But if I set Keller and Beck, Barris, this Jedi Vanguard faction, and of course I'm gonna have to bear in mind that I can't steal too much from the Queen Amidala team, right? So there is that. But I guarantee you that for the players who sit there and are like, oh, I can't beat this, I can't beat this, like this is gonna be a team they're not gonna be able to beat.
Oh yeah. I'm sure it'll beat meta. I don't know if it'll kill GLs right away. I doubt
No,
it.
but I'm fully prepared for people to regret not getting her who can push to get her and don't, because I think she's going to create an extra team.
Yeah. If you have
And that's
if you have Keller and Beck.
yes.
That's the big
And
if.
but again, hello, he has the battle for Naboo tag. Like this, like everything comes full circle for me. And it's like if you haven't farmed Keller and Beck to this point, there's you need to ask yourself the question of like,
How are you
what have
still
you
in
been
your
doing?
guild for TW is my question.
Well, who cares about territory wars? Even though I have that Omicron, who cares about territory war?
Yeah, because it's at this point it's basically mandatory for territory wars.
But I feel like he's such an important character. You need him for Bo. You need him for this raid. Like, why, what's stopping you? And you
Yeah.
could say, excuse me, like you could say, oh well, I don't have this, I don't have that, I don't have this. I mean, like he makes the Qui-Gon team better. He makes the team usable outside of GAC.
Yeah. I mean, I'll say this. Hot take. Bo-Katan Mandalore is more important than Ahsoka. Maybe not so hot take.
I don't know that I would go that far.
Well, she's giving
Bo,
your she, she
if you needed more than 25, but you only need 25 Bo. And I mean, have you seen Ahsoka's performance in Territory Wars?
no, I haven't. I just use Leia.
She's a much better GL in Territory Wars than she is in GAC, in my opinion.
Okay. But if you're at that point where you're not getting Mandalore, Bo-Katan Mandalore is the more valuable character because she's actually providing a tangible value to your entire guild.
I
Versus
just think
Ahsoka, it's another good team. That's where it comes down to.
I don't know if we've seen the, I don't, I would be shocked if there wasn't something to beef this up a little bit. Not beef it up and make it better. I would not be shocked if there's something around that you need this character for. I would be completely shocked.
I'm thinking we get some sort of event once GL Thrawn comes. That's what I'm hoping for. We get some sort of raid where you need both GLs and
Ooh,
it'll come out right when Thrawn comes out. It'll either be that or a bonus planet for Thrawn, because
I like,
a lot of people are gonna wail on Thrawn that don't normally spend because they love Thrawn so much more than any other character. Same thing that happened with Bane. Same thing would happen with a lot of characters they bring in that they haven't touched, like Darth Revan. I wouldn't know. I wasn't playing back then, but I'm gonna assume a lot of people were way more excited to get Darth Revan and Jedi Revan because they're not the mainstream characters. Like, yeah, a lot of characters are the popular characters are good, but mainstream like legend characters, they're really popular because there's you can't play them at other places. Like I
yeah,
can't go pick up my PS5 and go play with the Darth Revan game. No, it's Jedi Cal Kestis. Yeah, he's fun and cool, but I have another game where I can play with him. Or I have another game where I can play with Darth Vader, or Battlefront 2 is all the same characters.
yeah. I don't know. I struggle with saying that Bo is more important than Ahsoka. From a territory battle perspective, yes.
Yeah.
Every other perspective, no.
Yeah, if your guild already has Mandalore, it's less important.
And the other argument I would make there too is that like Ahsoka's requirements are some of the most solid GL requirements we've had.
Yeah.
Like Snips, Gas, Night Trooper. Asajj, I'm not overly thrilled with there. Like I don't she's just not what she
She's
was.
only Relic 5 though.
Yeah. And then Cat, Enoch, Peridia. I mean, all right, bangers. Ezra Bridger, thumbs
Easy to
down.
Swiss. Yeah.
Fulcrum, I actually would say initially I was like, ugh, but I'm learning to love, not just because of her datacron, even outside of her datacron, like she's amazing with Leia. Like that is it. Like sleeper, I'm gonna be using Fulcrum with my GL Leia, probably even. I mean, I would
Uh
maybe use her with Seer,
I
but
don't
in like TB,
in
she's really
TV
good with
true, yeah.
Leia because she boosts her ultimate.
Yeah.
Like Leia's ultimate. Just I gotta go back because some people won't believe this, but gain 4% ultimate charge on an enemy's turn and 1% whenever a rebel deals damage while they have call to action. So if Ahsoka has a bunch of buffs and call to action, which she will have for at least like a couple turns, she's gonna just nuke people for damage.
Hmm.
So you can ramp that up so fast.
Especially if you give her Drogon's buff too with 50% offense.
Yes. And then CT Clone Trooper Rex, do not sleep on because that you need him for a special mission on Zepho.
Yep.
Barris Relic 5, very good. I think she's actually been helping me take the place of Cal Kestis in my Ray team. Padawan Sabine, you use with GL Ahsoka. General Syndulla, Hu Yang, same situation. Any ship is a joke of a requirement. And then Plo Koon Relic 8, I'm curious how he fits in with the Jacost new team.
Hmm.
That's I see that happening.
It
But
sucks
again,
though. The other part that sucks though is because before punishing one, Fluke and Relegate was crazy because it means that Negotiator now beats Executor.
yes.
Because you just put Flo in the starting lineup and yeah, you just win.
Yes.
But now with that doesn't work with punishing one. And another really good thing with like having it with now all the people have the R9 Cat, the R9 Ahsoka, JMK is that it's just that much better
Oh yeah.
because you're right because his mastering ramping is it's cumulative. So it's ramping based on the mastery you currently have, not your base mastery, which like most GLs have. So when you're ramping it Cat's mastery, or say you target Snips with an ability and you ramp her mastery, she has way
Yep.
more mastery now, and now you're getting way more gains. Like I'm seeing like my Snips hit for like 200K just casually.
Well, yeah. So it says when another light side ally targets Kenobi, dispel all debuffs, and he gains mastery equal to 10% of their mastery. So, like, if that's Commander Tano. So her
Yeah.
Relic 9 feeds Kenobi. And then when he targets an enemy, they gain 20% of his current for the rest of the encounter. So you're going to target Commander Tano, boost her mastery. Then you're going to target JMK, boosting his. But that's something I've been doing a lot. I've used that for years of targeting those characters.
Yeah, and then the biggest, and then his ult's also giving you 200% mastery on top of what you already have, which is huge. 200%, I think it is, right?
Um,
I think it's every all other allies get 200% mastery if when in the for the max level one.
yeah, equal to the amount of ultimate charge used, doubled at 100% for this
Yeah,
for ultimate charge, which is just insane.
yeah,
They they've done some GLs so dirty when it comes to how much mastery they can gain.
yeah. Compared to Sith Eternal,
Yeah, he still gains. You know who's the has the worst mastery gain?
JML.
Yes, because it's fixed.
Yeah. Also,
It's
Jabba's is pretty capped as well. It basically
yeah,
only
I think
increases when he gets contract, but it's fixed. They only can stack it from Crumb's Revenge.
yes.
So yeah, so in his leader, the contract he gives out, it's like 40% mastery per buff, I think, or something like that. What is it?
They start with 30%.
Yeah. Then they
They
get
get
50,
55% mastery for each stack of my kind of scum.
which is 5 stacks, I think. Or
Yeah,
4, 5 stacks. Yeah. So you're getting a lot of mastery when you hit contract, which is nice, but you're only ramping from Crumb's Revenge, which is kind of a whatever ability. Like it's nice for the dispel, but unless it's like a solo Jabba left, it's not really dealing. It's the damage isn't what you're worried about. You're worried about the ads damage.
yeah, yeah. But I do think on this like topic of mastery and relic levels in Ahsoka, right? That like those characters nowadays, that mastery is so much more important than a lot of other units. And like going into Jocasta with her unique, I'm sure there's mastery in here somewhere, right? Maybe not.
I don't believe so, no. She
Wow, if not, skip. No.
she does siphon protection though. That's her only
Ooh.
stacking mechanic. And since she deals damage based on protection. So she's like the Jedi Bane, basically.
Okay. So she's not but that's interesting. She's not giving out mastery, dude. Because normally all these units give out some sort of mastery.
Yeah. What I'd be interested to
That
see, because the other thing you missed is Ray also does she doesn't really. Like unless the enemy is gaining a lot of turn meter, you can't
well,
ramp mastery.
yeah. I mean, we say that, but then like we all use Star Killer. I mean, you have to be inspired, but like we all use Star Killer.
Yeah. Which is what's really funny, because when you play it right, she barely even ramps any mastery. And we're
Yeah.
using a turn meter train to kill her. All the things that kill Ray are turn meter trains. Well,
Yes.
for the most part.
It's fun in territory battles though, because you can ramp her mastery so high.
Except when
I have Cal hitting for 100K on Coruscant.
yeah, except on what is it? The phase two mixed the second phase where they just never ramp, they never gain turn meter
Oh yeah,
on
yeah,
Felucia, where you're just facing Hondo and you're like, well, I'll come back in a few minutes.
yeah. Yeah.
Before you had Ben, that mission just takes forever. Like you need JTR, otherwise you're just gonna because you can't even time out. You'll just never die, but you can't ever kill the Hondo.
Yeah. I still haven't ever done that mission yet.
Really?
No, well, because
No,
so when I
no,
got Hondo,
it's the open mission. So I would always use Ray for that, but until like I had Ben, what's his face? I would just use Ray for that. You just use CLS.
this is like a I've yeah. What?
I don't really make use of CLS and TP very well. I don't even know what I use for that
Dude,
mission, to be honest. I would
yeah.
probably
What?
use, I don't know. Phase two is just so easy. Like you have so many teams, it doesn't really matter what you use, to be honest.
Balin, CLS. I mean, the list goes on and on. It's
Th-
easy.
Well, yeah, that's what I use on my alt before I had those teams though.
But yeah, I use Ray on Braca with Captain Rex.
Mm. I use
But
JMK. Yeah, I use JML, JMK, JML, and Leia on Braca.
yeah, I give up my. I think this phase I have to platoon my. Oh, that's right. I should check. I think this phase I give up Commander Tano.
And then I just do Jabba and Ray on Felucia because I could use the thing is like I can use other teams to kill it. I could probably use QA to kill it, but I have enough GLs and I don't have to platoon my GLs in this phase where it doesn't matter. I just kind of use GLs for every mission. Like phase
Yeah,
two is so easy.
I have to give up my Commander Tano this phase.
Yeah,
So that's why I can't use JMK anywhere because I have to give him up.
I'm actually looking right now. The only mission I have to use non-GL for is the Zephyr mission for this phase. So yeah, I don't really have to use CLS or anything like that. It's kind of
Yeah,
nice
I
being endgame.
when my guild did whenever they did like the ops where we were kind of looking at like what you should be giving up, I remember I was like, I can give up my
Hang on a second.
I like
Plug
listed
my
out the
computer in.
characters I could give up, and it was like I can just give up my whole Jedi Master Kenobi team if I need to, because I just don't need them. But yeah, I do have some interesting teams to give up at times. I'm looking to see. I don't have any more like the Kenobi. Normally I try to platoon my Kenobi in there too, but it looks like somebody beat me to it. But yeah, so final, I think, to wrap things up here, like what would you say as a now that like we're into this TB, do you have any like have you made any upgrades to increase your performance from last TB? Or are you kind of just maintaining at this point?
I'm just maintaining. Although
I mean,
I am closing in on Pocatan now. Speaking
oh,
of, I now have what is it? Paz is Relic 5, and that's the last requirement. And
oh,
also
nice.
I have situated Paz's mods, so he has his mods are basically done, and now I just need to finish up IG-12. I actually rolled the 23 speed circle, which was really nice.
Nice.
IG-12. Because I'm at this point where when I build a new team, I just have to build fresh mods. I don't have the mods lying around that I can just throw around. Especially since
Oh,
they both want health mods. So I'm like, well, I don't really have that.
yeah, that's a sore subject right now.
Health mods?
I'm gonna have to I'm gonna have to switch so many mods for Ahsoka.
Oh yeah, it
Like
looks
here,
like you
just
need
to
some remods for her team too.
for which team?
For Ahsoka's team, looks like you need new mods for them.
Yeah, it's not gonna be like just to put into perspective of the characters I'm stealing mods from, like Morgan, Great Mother. It's gonna be a
I mean, who
problem.
cares about Padme and Watt though? So it's just Morgan and Great Mothers.
Well, but like that's the thing, right? So you say that. That's a good point you bring up. Like, yeah, who cares about Padme? Like, I mean, 5v5, Padme is like a must-have in my Kenobi team at this point.
Yeah.
And if she's like, and I think this is where I'm gonna, I'm so glad you brought this up. Gosh, now I can rant. The amount of players now who are chinsing out on mods on characters like Padme makes countering so much easier because you just will like accidentally kill her with some of your counters.
Yeah.
Like the amount of like I was facing somebody who had one of my GAC opponents had like the Spectre units, and they only had 6 dot mods on like Ezra, and so it just was like I just like rolled over them, and I was like, this like yeah, you have this team, but you don't have any of the mods for them. Like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
But I know I have an obscene amount of 6 dot mods, so I really shouldn't be like I shouldn't judge too harshly.
Yeah, you have 400 more 6-top mods than me. I can't afford a 6-top mod to everyone.
Yeah, I'm over 1,000 now. I'm pretty pumped about it.
Yeah, I'm at 600. It's a work in progress.
But that, like for me in TB, if I get Ahsoka, I don't know if I'll be able to really increase my wave count. um
Yeah,
this TB.
all it's really going to do is make it so you don't have to use as many non-GLs.
Yeah, like I think the only place I'll be more consistent is like I'm planning to use her on the unrestricted on Zepho here,
What do you usually use there?
CLS. It's like a sometimes I get it right and sometimes I don't. It's not a super important one, or I could use her in like the UFU mission.
Oh yeah, I
Um,
didn't even think about that. What
but like his
does she kill that?
I would assume she has
Because
to.
she's missing like half her team. You basically just have what Sabine and
Yeah.
Fulcrum.
Well, or I mean, I like the I part of the thing is my guild does we do Zepho in 2 days. And
Yeah,
so the second day it's open is the Relic 8 planets. Um, so I kind of have to think about how to split up that team. I might try it in the unrestricted zone, but I'll cross that bridge when I get there.
and you're not taking them to relegate though. You're leaving them at all at R7.
Not yet.
Okay.
I'll take Ahsoka to Relic 8. That's gonna be the plan.
Um,
And then
what I would
I'm
say.
gonna do Relic 9s on R2 and Drogon, and then probably Relic 8 the Spectre team.
So here's my thing. The way Ahsoka's team works, Ahsoka herself is she doesn't die. She even at Relic 7, she's tanky enough where no team that counters her kills her first. So there's no point increasing her relic levels until you've increased everyone else's relic levels, in my opinion. Unless it's specifically for TB, which in that case you're doing your whole team at anyways. But the threats on her team are Ezra and Sabine. So
Yeah.
if you get a relic 8 or even a relic 9 Sabine, she's hitting that much harder. You're still gonna kill her first before you can even touch Ahsoka. Even if you're doing the craziest, if you're using SOKR, you're just nuking the entire team, you're still killing Ahsoka last. So her Relic 8 and her Relic
Yeah, but
9, it's not changing that.
yeah, I don't know. I guess I go back and forth there because I think the one thing is I'm thinking like for 3v3 GAC, I'm always going to be using Ahsoka.
But it's still the same thing with like stuff like perfect defense and her alt. She's barely taking any damage. Your ads are gonna die, and then she'll be solo. So if your ads die, then you've lost. So it's not about making her more tanky, and she won't deal any damage even with her Relic 8 and Relic 9. It's about making her ads deal enough damage so that they won't die
Yeah.
and making
I
her
mean,
ads more tanky.
I can probably get one of her ad. I mean, in time for GAC, I can probably get one of her ads to relegate too.
Yeah, that my recommendation is Relicate Ezra, Relicate Ezra for the dodge and for the
I already
stats.
did that.
Yeah, and then Relicate Sabine, and then Relicate Ahsoka, and then Huyang and Syndulla. But I would not Relicate Ahsoka first. She's third on that team, and I would
Yeah,
not
I'm gonna
Relic
have to.
Nine her either. I would rather Relic Nine Ezra than Relic Nine Ahsoka.
Ooh, that's a hot take. I don't know.
Because here's the thing.
Could
We have three tank GLs, JML, Leia, and Ahsoka. JML always feels squishy no matter what. If you're fighting him, he kind of falls over. Leia is very tanky, but she has to be the first target because of the way Fearless works. So her stats directly are subjective to how hard it is to kill that team. Because you can't really kill her ads first, you always kill her first.
Yep.
JMK, you kill him last. Jabba, you kill him last. Ray, it's confusing. You never know what the way it's working. Lord Vader, you always kill him last. SLKR, if you can kill him first, the team's way easier. But usually you have to kill him last, but you don't need to see him on defense. C doesn't go on defense, won't matter. He just needs to be tanky. But that's the thing with Ahsoka. Same argument with Java. Same argument with JMK. They don't need the relics because they're not the target. They're not the priority target.
Yeah, I'm not. I don't know because she's a tank. That's where I'm going with.
But the thing
But
is, she's a tank that is already tanky enough to never take any damage at Relic 7.
yeah, I need to learn more of it. I'm sure I'll learn more of it as I go through it tonight at the time of recording anyway.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I mean, I know I'm going to be short on signal data very quickly, which would be a problem.
Wait, so how close are you on the shards then? You're still 50 shards away.
I'm buying crystals.
Oh,
I I'm going I'm like completely yeah, like I'm completely going inefficient because I want to live stream this for people. Otherwise, I'd spend the next like I'm going to be away on vacation by the time that GAC lock-in happens, so I won't be able to live stream it.
oh,
And I wanted to do it live. I haven't live streamed in a while, so I was like I felt guilty, so I'm like I have enough crystals. I'll go in, I'll soft whale on it. Um but yeah, if I was being smart, I would continue farming the rest of this week with the 75 crystal refreshes and then maybe buy a handful of shards.
okay. Yeah. But yeah,
But
that's my take. I don't think Ahsoka's past Relic 7, I don't think it's actually important. Even though she's a tank, even though she does a lot of tanking, she's way too tanky for it to matter. I would like I'd rather Relic 9 Padawan Sabine and Ezra before giving her Relic 8.
it, you guys
Now,
heard it here.
I would not Relic 9 Padawan Sabine because she's not tanky, but Ezra Relic 9 is pretty good. And assuming they ever fix Hu Yang's bug, I'm sure his Relic 8 would be pretty good if his multi-hit actually deals enough damage.
Yeah. Ugh. When that team gets fixed. Ugh.
So there's one Ahsoka team in my arena. They're using their Balin Kron, or they were. It has 300% offense. And it's the funniest thing. Like General Syndulla's AoE like almost killed my entire SOKR team.
My gosh.
And her AoE
That's
doesn't even hit hard.
well, that's I mean, yeah. I could go
It's
off about those ridiculous datacrons.
and
But
and the funniest thing is SOKR still kills it though.
yes. But any final thoughts? I think we kind of, covered, I'd say, the vast majority of what we really intended to. Any
Yeah.
final thoughts for the gang?
Final thoughts. If you're at 8 million GP, you don't have Inquisitors, you need to provide an argument in Discord why you did not buy the bundle. And it has to be you don't have the money. That's the only argument I can see. Own money or don't want to
I,
spend it. But if you didn't want to buy it because you think you don't need it, you're at 8 million GP, you are the prime candidate for that bundle. Or you were. I don't think it's in the game anymore, but
you are the intended audience.
you are the intended audience because it's basically just free guild value for you. And you probably already have Riva halfway done at that point. Or done. I don't know.
And I am going to leave everybody with this. With these bundles coming into the game, what you need to consider is the value. It's the before you say, oh, is it worth buying or not? You got to think of the value it provides to you, whether you have the income, but also think about how quickly you're actually going to be able to act on that purchase. If it's like I saw so many people buy the Jawas and the Tuscans, and it's great, but like they're just sitting there doing nothing. And sure, it's extra GP, but I'm seeing more and more players trying to, we kind of touched on this earlier, like they're trying to join guilds and they're like entitled to, oh, well, I'm 9 million GP, I should be in a 450 million power guild, and it's like 9 million of shit.
Yeah.
So before you buy that bundle, just really think about if it's actually helping your account, because if it isn't, you can save the money or buy the episode pass,
Yeah. Or
which I think
take the
is,
Java bundle. That's giving you a GL. Or the
yep,
bundle that was kind of for Java. That's directly
yes,
benefiting your account. Assuming you can give them Zeta, assuming you can uh, mod them, that's providing direct and immediate value in the form of a GL. And Java,
yeah,
you can kind of give them shit mods and still kill a lot of stuff with them. You don't really need the best mods ever, because they're a GL team. They can make do pretty well.
yep. So that's my final thoughts.
All right. Well, that's it for this week's episode of TB Anonymous. We'll see you guys next time.
Yep. Cheers, folks.
Bye.